So now the topic is why study human development from a psychological perspective, and what is its relevance to the study of religion. Why should a religious scholar study human development? Now, whether you want to take just one course or devote your entire education to studying the topic, there are plenty of great reasons for you to learn more about human development with a religious bias. Now, if you are majoring in psychology, education, or medical field, some background knowledge of how people grow and change throughout life is essential. In addition, you gain a better understanding of others. So studying human development can also provide greater personal insight. As you deal with the religious society, you'll be informed in a better way. So the first reason is studying development helps you better understand yourself. So we were all kings, we were once kings. So learning more about how children develop, for example, and grow can provide additional insight in the person you have become. Studying development can also help you learn more about your future. By understanding the aging process from a psychological perspective, you'll be able to guide religious society, people in their social political arena. You'll be better prepared when you face issues associated with growing up. Of course, growing up has its own challenges, and but when you're educated, you can easily fit in. You fit in without much trouble. Number two, it also helps you learn more about your own children. Of course, if you understand child psychology, you'll be able to also understand how even to deal with your children. The first school of religion is normally the family level. It's always at the family level. So a religious scholar studying about child psychology will start by understanding his own children, and in fact, a parent is the first religious scholar at home, because that is where everything begins. Number three, you will be able to understand how to interact with even the youth, the adolescents, the children, and all that. And again, number four, you gain a better appreciation of development throughout your life, because you'll be able to know how you proceed from one stage to the other. Whether you are in a religious sector or not, you need to understand the development as it goes in the vicissitudes of life. Number five, it allows us to understand what is normal and what is not. You can tell that you can gain greater understanding of what is normal and what is not. While every person is a little bit different, human development tends to follow a remarkably predictable pattern. Once you have studied development, you know what is typical at certain ages and stages. You'll be able to know all these stages. That's why we are studying this course. Now, concerning the theories of human development, we have the evolutionary perspective. We have evolutionary perspective, which argues that many human behavioral tendencies evolved through biological necessity to help our ancestors survive and reproduce. There is also psychological processes that have evolved through the natural selection of biological traits that helped organisms adapt to the environment or to their own respective environments. Now, evolution biologically selects organisms that maximize their reproductive success. Now, the other one is also cognitive perspective. The cognitive perspective was not considered as best fit because how we develop cognitively is only one part of the biological puzzle. Other aspects include genetic development or genetic perspective. There's also behavioral and adaptation perspectives, among others. Now, the cognitive perspective places the greatest importance on the role of the individual in his or her own development, and cognitive development suggests that individuals go through stages of cognitive development to actively construct their own understanding of the world. Now, you look at individuals, they organize their experiences by separating important and less important ideas, connecting ideas to each other to adapt to new environmental demands. One scholar by name Gostikin reasoned that children individually construct their knowledge, and that information processing theory emphasizes that individuals manipulate information, monitor it, and strategize about it. Another perspective is running perspective. So the running perspective was not considered as best fit because this is only one aspect of the individual. Other developmental areas needing consideration would be thoughts, feelings, and relationships. Now, the psychoanalytic perspective of development places the greatest importance on the role of parents or caregivers in the early development of children. There is also psychosexual development by Sigmund Freud. Is influenced by the caregiver's role in children's development. Sucking the breast provides nourishment and a prime avenue for social nourishment, that is, warmth and closeness with their caregivers. Children develop wishes and expectations based on their total dependence on their caregivers, including the role and rules of the parents about compliance and defiance. They identify with the parents, imitating their behavior and changing self-concepts, trying to be more like their parents by adopting and internalizing their motives, behaviors, beliefs, and ideals. Okay? Okay. Now, going down there, you find there is Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory about human development. Of course, we said our focus is psychology. Erik Erikson's, he talks about behavior. How, for example, praying. You know what you consider to be 8 life stages in Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory. He argues that we develop physically, cognitively, and socially. He goes on to argue that initiative is a capability to devise action projects, that is, praying, and a confidence to do so even at the risk of making mistakes. Initiative flourishes when game playing is encouraged. So he says that this what you call physical program is very important, because physical exercises or when children are playing around has a very important contribution in making you creative, making you a confident person, build confidence, understand society, and grow a healthy life. Separation of game playing, as some parents do, according to Erik Erikson, in high bit confidence development. So you don't develop properly psychologically when you are denied a chance to engage in game playing. Game playing. So when you stop a child from game playing, even when you are teaching Sunday school, it is important you take children to the field to have physical exercises, which is equivalent to game playing. Or when you are taking mandras, the same way you talk of Sunday school, madrasa in Islam, it is not enough to just teach people about Quran or whatever, or Islamic teachings. It is also important to build confidence in the children by taking them out for practical exercises and game playing. Parents play an important developmental role of balancing this. That is, giving enough space and encouragement to foster purpose and confidence, and boundaries to protect against danger. This B. and Skinner, whom we shall also comment about, Skinner's operant conditioning theory. He came with the theory of conditioning. The way animals during the time, the Stone Age time, were conditioned and brought to the domestic level. Animals like the dogs, the cats. Okay, so it's all about conditioning. There's also human conditioning, animal conditioning. So Skinner's operant conditioning theory means learning to operate on the environment to produce a consequence. Now, behavior, according to Skinner, becomes associated with the environmental effect. Okay? For example, not getting sunburnt. Okay? An area where you are not getting the sunshine, that has an effect. That has an effect on how you grow. Now, reinforcement is a process by which the behavior is more likely to occur. Now, positive reinforcers like parental praise. When you praise your child, or a child is told, "Good, thank you, doing well, fine, go, keep up." That is parental praise. That is what we call positive reinforcers. They make the behavior more likely to occur. You build the confidence in that person, and it is good. It makes the behavior more likely to occur, rewarding environmental consequence. Now, negative reinforcers or unpleasant sunburn will strengthen the behavior by its removal. Okay? Sometimes negative reinforcers will strengthen the behavior by its removal. Escape running is where the child getting sunburnt will eliminate the aversive state by applying sunscreen or avoidance, where the child avoids getting sunburnt by not going out in the sun. So there's a lot of things there equivalent to sunburn, whereby sometimes even cushioning a child in areas that are negative. Okay, Skinner calls it unpleasant sunburn, can also strengthen the behavior, or does also strengthen the behavior. So it's not just enough to have the so-called positive reinforcers, telling a child when you do good. There's also a time you need to tell the child when she is doing bad, the so-called unpleasant sunburn in Skinner's language. It also helps in putting somebody in a developmental trajectory. Now, you can see the diagram. I've put it on your screen. That side, you can see it on your side. Erickson's stages of psychosocial development. You can see it is well done. You look at the stages: the infancy, birth to 18 months. That's what we call infancy, 0 to 18 months. There is basic conflict there. You see, there is trust versus distrust. There's that confusion. But the most important thing is feeding. That is the most important for any human being, feeding. And then the outcome, you see, according to Eric Erikson, of course, every scholar has his own perspective. The children develop a sense of trust when caregivers provide reliability, care, and affection. A lack of this will lead to mistrust. You can see it there. You can also see early childhood, that is 2 to 3 years. Conflict is autonomy versus shame and doubt. And the most important event between 2 to 3 years is toilet training. And of course, the outcome, children need to develop a sense of personal control over physical skills and a sense of independence. Success leads to feelings of autonomy. Failure results in feelings of shame and doubt. You go on, preschool age, according to Eric Erikson, is 3 to 5 years. Of course, the basic conflict is initiative versus guilt. The child starts feeling guilt at times, and it's also initiative at this stage. The most important event here is exploration. And of course, the outcome is children need to begin asserting control and power over the environment. Now, concerning school age, that is 6 to 11 years, there is industry, not industry now, industry versus inferiority. This is a time the child also feels inferior. And of course, the most important event now is school. Children need to cope with the new socio-academic demands. That's the outcome. Now, going down there, 19 to 40 years, that's what you call young adulthood. And that's where some of you now are. Basic conflict is what? Intimacy versus isolation. Okay? Yes, please. No, we have, they are in now. Okay. Let's go on. Let's go on. Yeah, they are in now. Giving them a chance to come in. So there's young adulthood, we have said 19 to 40 years. And the basic conflict here is intimacy. You want to be very intimate on some things. And at the same time, there is also a feeling of isolation between 19 to 40 years. There is also the issue of relationships. You want to build relationships with age mates, opposite sex. You want to build relationship with political friends, social friends. It's an age of building relationships. So young adults need to form intimate, loving relationships with other people. Success leads to strong relationships, while failure results in loneliness and isolation. Of course, at 40, below 40, when you fail, you feel very lonely sometimes, and you feel also isolated. So we talked about the conflict here is intimacy versus isolation. Now you come to the middle adulthood, according to Eric Erikson. You talk of 40 to 65 years, the way he categorizes it. Now the conflict here is, you can see it in the diagram, it is generativity versus stagnation. Of course, if you did not pick in the other stage of 19 to 40, the age of 40 to 65 can have a lot of stagnation if you don't get there. That's why we are talking of generativity versus stagnation. You stagnate. You may not now move. You may surrender yourself waiting for God. Let God come now. I've done my duty. I have not succeeded. I have not done. So you have to work very hard when you are 19 in order to enjoy 40 to 65. Failure to which you stagnate. Now, there is what we call important events. Between 40 to 65, work and parenthood, those are very important moments because that's the time you are taking your children to school. Yeah, the children of 6 to 11 years. Of course, at 65, they are adults again. There is also work. Whether it is your own business, you want to be engaged somewhere, working. Okay? Now, looking at the outcome, adults need to create or nurture things that will outlast them, things that will go build you. If you are a young scholar, you need to write a book that will outlast your life. Often, by having children or creating a positive change that benefits other people. Success leads to feelings of usefulness and accomplishments, while failure results in shallow involvement. Okay. The other one is maturity, what we call maturity. And maturity, interestingly, in Erickson, it's not the way we talk of it in Kenya. In Kenya, we say when you are 18, you are mature. Other people say when you are 21, you are mature. Other people say it is 25, 26 and above, you are mature. The Jewish, you marry when you are 30 years, if you are Jews. The Jewish people. The 30 years for men, of course, for women is another one, is lower. That's when you are mature, you can handle a home, you are emotionally stable and all that. And but according to Erickson categorization, it is 65 to death. That's when you are mature, really mature. But there's also basic conflict at that age. And the basic conflict is ego, the ego, integrity versus despair. There are times even children make you despair, particularly when they get to drugs. They don't go to school. They start asking for your attention. You bring up old people. You brought them when they are young. They have become irresponsible. They are troubling you. So that is the time you despair and you say, I leave it to God, because they have put you in a very, they have put it in a very bad situation. There is also a reflection on life. So you start reflecting. Waswahili husema wazee hukumbuka. You start recalling things that you went through when you were young. So here, older adults need to look back on life and feel a sense of fulfillment. If you did very well, you feel happy. You fought and went on to get your degree or degrees or good house, secure and good living even for your generation. You succeeded. Success at this stage, at 65 years, leads to feelings of wisdom, or failure results in regret, bitterness, and despair. Now, down there, you look at the question. Describe Erickson's theory of physical, emotional, and psychological human development. So, the 8 stages of life. Of course, Erickson wrote that each stage of a person's life is characterized by a different psychological crisis that must be resolved before the person can successfully progress to the next stage. The success of each stage depends on how well the previous crisis was resolved. If a person does not resolve a crisis, it will continue to affect the person's development throughout life. Erickson's theory of psychosocial development is widely accepted by psychologists today. We only need to ask ourselves, is it accepted to us? All these 8 stages of running basic trust versus basic trust, the stages of running autonomy versus shame, the stages of running initiative versus guilt, the running industry versus inferiority, running identity versus identity diffusion, running intimacy versus isolation, running generativity versus self-absorption, running integrity versus despair. All these 8, how relevant are they to a man and woman of religion? We'll look at it next time when we come, but today we'll stop there. We'll try to be faster next time. Thank you very much. Few questions, we cut the lesson today.